Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new edition of Betting Fools. I'm your host, Alex Nevz, here from Sacramento, California, and I have a co-host with me, Mr. Jackson Gaskins. How's it going, bud?
Doing well, man. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to it.
Talking a little MLB, our prediction, World Series predictions, and our winner, our National League MVP, who is our main horse and who is our dark horse to win MVP for the National League. And we are going to discuss division winners. I'll get started with you. We'll start in the NL East. Who do you think is going to win the division? Who do you think maybe competes for a wild card? If you have any wild card predictions, who do you think's going to take over the East?
Yeah, I think the East is really interesting this year, and actually, I think they got three playoff teams. Wouldn't surprise me to see any combination of the Braves, the Mets, the Phillies sneak in. Just when you look at the entirety of the NL, the East is where the heavy hitters are and where a lot of the talent resides. If I have to pick a winner, I'm gonna have to go with the Braves. I mean, they're just stupid stacked. You got Kuna, Austin Riley, Olson. I mean, all of those guys are gonna have 30, 40 homers. I think their athleticism really helps, especially with the new rules this year. You can only pick over so many times. The bases are a little bit wider. I think you see those stolen base numbers. And for those fantasy guys, myself included, I love a guy that can hit 30 bombs, 40 bombs, and still get a couple bags. So I think the Braves are going to be a tough matchup for anybody in the AL or in the NL, especially in the NL East.
Yeah, I agree. I have the Braves winning the division as well, 97 and 65. And you touched on it. Ronald Acuna, he's capable of 40 home runs, 40 stolen bags. I got a buddy of mine that's diehard Braves, but I'm not going to sit here and be biased. They are the team to beat. You have Phillies and Mets. They're going to beat each other up.
They
You have,
are. And that's the thing. It's going to be a product of the NL that we've seen for the last 15 years. I mean, even when the Giants were good, they're beating up on the Dodgers. It's going to be hard to win 100 games in that division.
yeah, without a doubt. You got Max Fried, he 270 RA last year, 170 innings pitched. You got Spencer Strider, who is, I think he's going to win Cy Young. Like he had 200 Ks last year and only like 130 innings. Has filthy stuff. There's 98 plus. Max Fried as well. They have depth in their pitching. Charlie Morton's good. He has a little higher ERA. He's older now, but Charlie Morton's a guy that can get you a lot of strikeouts. The bullpen, you got AJ Minter, you got Iglesias that's closing games. Either one of those guys can close games.
Now, see, here's it's going to be, and I agree with you on all those, but the Mets have a X factor, and that's an owner that is willing to spend. So come trade deadline, if they're 3 games back, 4 games back, they might go on a little spending spree and start robbing teams like the Giants, like the A's, like those teams that are no longer competitive. Maybe they need a little bit of pop and they go get a CJ Crone. That would not surprise me to get the Mets over the hump to win a division.
Yeah, or even like they have Brett Beatty that's in their farm system. They probably have a couple other farm guys that they can deal for, whether if it's the end of the bullpen. I would give Mets this division probably if it weren't for Edwin Diaz going down. That's a bigger concern than what people think. You have a guy that he struck out the side most of the time he came in. He had, I think it was probably 40 plus saves or around that ballpark. So losing him and having David Robertson close now, it's kind of tough. People that aren't usually in their roles now. Robertson used to close, but he's older now and he doesn't have as much velocity on the fastball. But he is a quality pitcher. Like they're gonna go get somebody. The Mets, that owner, which I think more owners need to do, he does spend the money, and I like that he's frugal with his money, and you can't buy championships. You do need a little chemistry. Giants had those teams that had the chemistry, but you know, Mets, they're going to be in it. The Phillies, I do worry about them without Bryce for too long. Like I think that's going to affect the bottom of that lineup. Isn't as they don't have as much depth as the Braves or the Mets as well. So it's kind of tough. And you got Marlins and Nats who aren't going to compete.
Correct. Yeah. Well, and I had the Phillies as I was going to pick the Phillies to win this until Reese Hoskins went down with his knee.
Yeah,
Sac State guy, played ball with him back in the day. He's now gone on to the bigger and brighter things, but they needed Reese to help out with with Bryce on the DL for 2 months, 3 months, whatever it's going to be, coming back from Tommy John. And I don't know if they have the juice to go 2 months of 500 ball and still compete with the Braves and the Mets.
Yeah, and I do like their starting rotation. Aaron Nola, Zach Wheeler, they're basically the same guy. Nola throws for more Ks, but they have around the same ERA, about a 3.3, or they can get to the twos if they need it, if they're pitching really well and they're on. But no, I agree, man. Phillies, and there's a reason why they got to the World Series. I did think they overachieved. But they had a team that they got rid of Girardi last year, and with Rob Thompson, they gelled really well, and they got to the Fall Classic, and those Philly fans are going crazy. So, yeah, I like them, but is it going to be too little, too late? I think so. I don't even think they get a wild card, just because of that division. If they're in a different division, like the Central or even the West, they probably do get a wild card spot, but they're going to kind of beat each other up throughout the year with the Braves.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun to watch.
Yeah. Well, moving on, we will go to the National League Central. I'm going to start in the Central. I'll touch on the Reds a little bit. They're going to probably get close to 95 to 100 losses. I like Hunter Green. He's a good upcoming guy. Jonathan India, great second baseman when he's healthy. Tyler Stevenson, good behind the backstop. Really good catcher, above average, I believe, but just not enough firepower. It's the Reds. They're still kind of rebuilding. Joey Votto's past his prime. Just a lot of inconsistency for the Reds. Pirates, same thing. O'Neal Cruz, a great bright spot. Brian Reynolds, ex-Giant that was in their system that went to Pirates. And then you have Brian Hayes, who's pretty good too. But they're going to go 70 and 92 Pirates. Cubbies, same thing, 78 and 84. They get a lot better. But, I do like Marcus Stroman. I do like Steele, the lefty, the southpaw. He's pitched really well. He pitched really well last year. They're going to be a lot better, close to 500. They're just a piece or two away. But my winner in that division is St. Louis Cardinals. I think it's foregone conclusion. Milwaukee can give them a run. Corbin Burns and Woodruff, those two guys, they're top 5, top 10 pitchers. Corbin Burns probably top 3, but those guys, man, I'm kind of going everywhere. But the Brewers can really compete in that division. I think they get a wild card spot. But Cardinals, man, they're stacked 1 through 9. Jordan Walker's coming up. We all know about Goldschmidt. We all know about Arenado, multiple Gold Gloves. Those guys are probably future Hall of Famers if Goldschmidt keeps raking the way he is. And the bullpen, probably top 5 bullpen too. Like they have guys like 4 or 5 guys that can throw 100 miles per hour.
Yeah, it's hard to compete when you got to deal with that for 3-4 innings on the back of a homestand or a road trip. I loved the Hunter Green and O'Neal Cruz drop. I mean, I was watching opening day in that matchup, and Hunter Green was 102, 105 every once in a while. And then Cruz turns one around from the left side and hits it 460 feet or whatever. He's a 6'7" shortstop leading off. Special talents there, but unfortunately, that's about all their teams have.
Yeah, and Pirates have had a reputation of like letting go of absolute monsters. I can't name off the top of my head, but Joe Musgrove was like a guy that came up in their system. I know there's multiple guys that they're like household names in the baseball community that Pirates have just let go. And if they would have invested a little bit, I know there's low payroll, but man, they keep some of those guys. They could be a problem today, and it's too bad they're not. I mean, like I said, Brewers, they can hang around. I do like their pitching. I like Adames. I like Yelich. Yelich isn't the Yelich of old, but you have Adames that can hit 30 homers. Rowdy Tellez from Elk Grove, a guy that can hit 30 homers. He's got he kind of hits for a low average, but that'll probably improve with the shift rules and whatnot. And they have I like Craig Counsellor as their manager. He can manage that ball club, and they've been successful for the last 5 years now, making the postseason and getting close every year. So I do like
here's a name for you with the Cardinals, Tyler O'Neill.
Oh, man.
Yep. Is a freak athlete. And when I say freak athlete, he's a bodybuilder that happens to decide to play left field every once in a while. But if he could figure out how to put the ball in play more often than not, he's going to end up with 30, 40 home runs this year. And if that happens, the Cardinals are going to be hard to beat.
Yeah, man. And he had an off. So 2 years ago, he was insane. I think he hit for like 33, 34 homers. And last
Yeah.
year, he really fell off. I don't know if there were some injuries he had or whatnot, but, if he's hitting as well as Goldschmidt in that lineup, as well as Arenado, they have Jordan Walker coming up. Gorman just hit 2 bombs today. Dude, look at the Cardinals. If you really look at it from a big picture, look at them the last decade. They have World Series championships, obviously Millennium and Pujols being there, but look at the Giants. They've had to face them twice. I think once was in the NLCS. Maybe it was both times, but they've had to face them in the NLCS. They're there every year, and the fans are great. They run, ownership's great. They Cardinals are a world-class organization, in my opinion, and they're there every single year. It doesn't matter who's on the roster. They know how to pull a trigger, and they know when to go get a guy like a Paul Goldschmidt.
Exactly. And that's a team you don't want to see in the playoffs in that stadium with 45,000 people that are all screaming and they all hate you. It's an intimidating environment for any other club to come in there, and the Cardinals know it and they thrive on it. And that's a team that could win this whole thing if they want to.
Yeah, I have them actually in my National League, the NLCS. They're just, man, they're a problem. And that's the beauty of baseball is anybody could really make it. Like we sit here and we talk about, this team might not be as good, or like we think they're going to be bottom feeders, which they most likely are, but it's a 27-man game. Like there's a reason that, you need all facets to be playing well. Bullpen,
Very much so.
lineup, starting pitching. Like it's tough to predict baseball. Most of the time we're going to get it, but there's going to be a team or two that you didn't even see coming. And you're like, whoa, like these guys are in contention for the playoffs, especially the 2 wild cards they have now. A lot more teams are in contention late.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, that's why baseball is the best sport in the world. I mean, you can call a guy up. What's his name? Musgrove, Joe Musgrove, his second career start in the big leagues for his hometown team. Guy throws a no-hitter. It was his second game in the big leagues, and things like that happen all the time, and it's beautiful to see. And whoever can stay healthy usually is who's going to come out on top of this. But yeah, it's going to be a great year.
It is. Well, we'll move on to the West, that National League West. My Giants. I'll let you start, but who do you have winning the West and why?
It's not your Giants, and it's not my Diamondbacks either. I got the Dodgers winning it. I can flip flop Dodgers, Padres. I don't think either of them win 100 games. I think both of those teams sit 94 to 98, give or take. Whoever gets hot at the end is going to win it. I think both teams make the playoffs and have equal chances of winning. Like I was just saying, it's whoever stays healthy. But I mean, the Dodgers aren't the Dodgers of old. I mean, they just went through this last offseason and almost forgot they were the Dodgers. They let Trey go. They let Justin Turner go. And not that those guys are Juan Soto or anything like that, but those are players that really help a ball club over the course of an entire season. And to see those guys go, it puts a lot more power on Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman and even Clayton Kershaw, who got taken deep. I think it was last night, but
Christian Walker.
Yeah, Christian Walker. Christian Walker owns.
Hey, he's got Owen and John Kershaw.
Yeah, so Christian Walker's first homer as a D-back was against Kershaw at Dodger Stadium. Same kind of homer, out in front, hits it 430. Christian Walker's a special guy, but like your Giants, I mean, there's not a whole lot of firepower over there. Tough division. They're going to beat up on the Rockies and then each other, and then the Dodgers and Padres are going to beat up on everybody else. So I would be shocked if it's not Dodgers Padres at the end of the year that are fighting. And again, it's ownership willing to spend to make things happen. So if they're a game or two away come trade deadline, those are teams that are going to make moves and decide to move up and go get their guys, whether it's bullpen help or go get a corner outfielder that can hit the ball a long ways.
Yeah, you hit it on the money. Rockies, probably 68, 70 wins. I do like Chris Bryant in Coors Field. I like CJ Cron. It's just minimal starting pitching, no depth. Who was their opening day start? I think it was Marquez. Nothing against him. I think he's good outside of Coors Field a little bit, but there's just no pitching there. The bullpen is scarce. Daniel Bard just went out for anxiety reasons, and we hope that he has a good recovery. But the bullpen's just kind of sketchy. They did start 2-0 versus the Padres, so it's like there's a silver lining, but I don't think it competes for that long. Charlie Blackmon's getting older, so it's kind of like, where are we going here? I don't even know where the Rockies are exactly in the farm. It's that, and that's a good baseball town. I've been to Coors Field. It's a passionate sports town. Denver, you think about Broncos and everything, and they have a good sports town. Number 4, I do have San Francisco Giants. I think they're that bad, and I'm going to rip into the Giants a little bit. I'm not a fan of Gabe Kapler, and Giants fans are going to think, 107 wins a couple years ago, barely lost to the Dodgers. 81 wins even last year. They were a 500 team, so they weren't absolutely terrible. But I don't dig into all the analytics. Some of it I do. I think it's a righty versus lefty matchups you have to account for, but there's too many guys that just, like, Jock Peterson was an all-star, and I get he's a left-handed bat and you don't want him facing left-handed pitching, but he's one of your best bats. Like, he's not playing in a lot of the games. He's going to pinch hit late. These guys need reps, even if you're a pro. It's with anything in life. Like, you need a lot of reps and a lot of practice. Like, jump shooters, like, I'm comparing NBA, but it's like you need to constantly practice and get live playing time, or else you're never going to grow. And I'm not a fan of Gabe Kapler. The lineup's weak. Lamont Wade, I love him, but it's just a nothing guy. I think he doesn't start on a lot of teams. I actually do like Estrada. I think he's probably one of our best hitters. Just a lot of improving guys. David Villar is coming up. I think he'll eventually be a good hitter. But when your main hitters are Conforto, your main hitters are Jock Peterson, Matt Chandler, who's on the DL, and they're kind of older guys too. So you mix that. I mean, I could see a lot of IL time for guys, and we win 70 games and lose 92.
Yeah, I can see that. I think Logan Webb's a bright spot there. I think he can put up 14 or 15 wins. I think he's a 20-game winner elsewhere.
Yeah.
But in San Francisco,
no run support.
It's tough. That's tough, especially in that division. Sean Manaea's there. Is he going to play?
Gives up a lot of homers. He'll be our 4 or 5 starter. He could do well in that ballpark. That ballpark is pitcher's heaven. Like, if I'm a pitcher, I want to pitch there. And us losing Rodon, and that hurts as well. Moving on from Giants, like D-backs, I enjoy 78 and 84. I like that Zach Gallen's on my fantasy. He pitched lights out last year in the second half. 2.80 ERA overall, gets you a lot of Ks. Bumgarner's the old. He's not the old Bumgarner. We saw that last night. Him giving up a grand slam, and D-backs will kind of float around 500. I like what they're doing. I like Corbin Carroll. I like Moreno, that came from the Blue Jays in the trade for Varsho. He's up and coming. They'll probably hover around 500. I think they're going to be better than what a lot of teams think. But we're both on the same page. It's going to be Padres Giants or Padres Dodgers. I think Padres win the division over the Dodgers. I think they've spent enough money, and they got the bullpen with Hader now and Nick Martinez in there as well. Padres take that division. Juan Soto. They're all going to gel. They seem like they have a good vibe there. And Tatis is coming back, even though he did the steroids. Yeah,
not that long.
Yeah, he's going to come back. I don't know if he'll be old Tatis. I'm not sure how much steroids had to play in that, but he's going to be good. He's not going to be bad. He's going to be above average.
Yeah, and when he is on, there's few players that are better.
Yes,
and I'm sure he's been working out. I'm sure he's going to show up ready to go. Might spend a week or two in Amarillo or wherever their AA team is, and come right back and be ready to play. Yeah,
they're going to welcome him with open arms. I'm sure there's some leaders on that club like Machado kind of take him under his wing and whatnot. They just seem like they have good chemistry, and they spend money. So when you have that, and you have God, I don't know why I'm brain farting there, man. Bob Melvin. When you have a manager like Bob Melvin, he almost reminds me of a Bochy, just a guy that's he demands respect, but he's also going to be easygoing and let these players figure it out on their own.
Yeah, and in that clubhouse, that's the way to manage them. They have a lot of vocal leaders in that clubhouse, and it is very player driven. I mean, I don't think Manny's going to let a whole lot of things go unanswered for, and they expect to win. And I mean, San Diego, great baseball town. It's great weather all year. They're going to be tough to deal with. I mean, Yeah, it would not shock me if the Padres beat up on the Dodgers and end up with a 5-game lead heading into the last month of the year.
Agreed. Well, that's our divisions. Let's head over to National League MVP. So I'm going to start with National League MVP. And I hate to say this because I do have a Braves buddy that we just talk mess nonstop, like it's every single day, and I love it. But I am going to go Matt Olson. This was before the season, before they played the Nats, and he tore it up with 2 homers yesterday. But he's due. The spring training, he had 7 home runs. He hits in a lineup where there's going to get guys on base. I know he hits in the number 2 spot, but Acuna is going to get on base. The bottom of the order is 1 through 9. You got a Michael Harris hitting in the 7th spot. You have Sean Murphy that came over from the A's. So those guys are going to get on base and they're going to rake. And Matt Olson, that whole team mixed with veterans and some young guys, like they're going to go off. And Matt Olson, you got a team that's going to probably win 98 games. And with a guy that's going to hit around 280, hit probably 40, 45 home runs, which is my prediction. Get about 100 RBIs. Why not? That's your MVP right there.
Yeah, if the Braves can put it all together and stay healthy all year and they're on a winning team, yeah, I could very much see that. And I think 45 is a big number. I don't know if he quite gets there.
Yeah.
But yeah, 35 plus.
Who's
My
your National League MVP?
MVP this year is Juan Soto.
Oh,
A little run around last year. Trade came over. Now he's comfortable. Now he's California guy through and through, ready to go. I think Juan Soto hits 310, 320 this year.
wow.
And if he does that with the kind of run production RBIs that I'm guessing are going to be there with Tatis in the lineup, Manny in the lineup. I mean, the line, they're going to be on base, and so if his teammates can get on base for him, he can flirt with 110, 120 RBIs in a year, alongside 35, 40 homers. So I think for him, it's cutting down on the strikeouts. I think he got walked a lot last year. I want to say he had like 130 walks. So if they actually pitch to him and he can put the ball in play, I think he's due for a big year and would be celebrated in San Diego if he starts putting up numbers like that. The fans will all get behind him, and then it's just smooth sailing. I think he'll get hot and he could put up a 400 or 500 average month. And I mean, the sky's the limit. He's 25 years old. He can do everything.
Still so young.
Still so young, which is why he's going to make all of the money.
Yeah,
I think he's a special player, and he's the anchor to that Padres success.
Yeah, and you touched on it really well that he's coming up on a contract in a year or two, and he's going to be laser focused, and he does have that moxie. Already has a World Series ring, and could have won MVP, but Strasburg was insane during that World Series run. But look at him at such a young age. Already has a World Series ring, has that, confidence about him. And, Juan Soto he's going to win some MVPs. When is it going to happen? Definitely could be this year. And he's going to win multiple. So,
and I think the success of the team whether it's the right way or the wrong way. And I know this is all about baseball, but you look at Sabonis in Sacramento, he's now starting to get MVP consideration, but he should have been. But that's only due to the success of the team, and whether or not the baseball writers should go the same route. And you have to be on a playoff team to win it. I don't know if that's necessarily true. If you hit 340 and you play for the Rockies, hey, you should probably win MVP. But it's not going to be like that. So I think if Soto and the Padres side by side are successful, Soto will be the guy.
Yep. So do you have a dark horse MVP? I know you have Juan Soto as your lead runner. Who do you have that could be a dark horse that no one is even thinking about?
My dark horse, no one is thinking about it. And I say this, so in a previous life, I worked for the Reno Aces, which are the Arizona Diamondbacks AAA team. And I want to say it was 2018. It might have been 2019. A journeyman minor leaguer got signed to the Diamondbacks and placed in Reno, spent 2 years in Reno, and lit the world on fire. He was a 340 hitter. He had over 100 RBIs. He had over 30 homers every single year in a minor league season, not 162 games, 140. Wow. And this guy is Christian Walker, who is now cemented as the D-backs four hitter, Gold Glover. So he's figured it out defensively. He still only hits about 240, 250 in the big leagues. But if he can get that up to 280, I think the RBIs are going to be there. I think the home runs are going to be there, as we saw with Kershaw in LA last night. I think he's a guy that can surprise you with 110, 120 RBIs and 40 homers. Now, the question then is, but if the D-backs are in the cellar, can he still get there? I don't know. But I think he's an all-star. I think he's one of the best power hitters in the league. And I think if there's guys in front of him, he's going to end up with 120 RBIs. And he's a special player.
Yeah, I think Christian Walker is probably top 5, one of the most underrated players in all of Major League Baseball. And he gets lost in the D-backs. It's almost like we knew Paul Goldschmidt, but even Paul Goldschmidt got a little lost when those teams were bad. Like Paul Goldschmidt has bursted on the scene in St. Louis, and obviously his play did the talking. But a lot of those Arizona guys get left out. Even Ketel Marte, when he had his golden years a couple years ago, and I still think he's a decent ball player, but you kind of get lost in Arizona. And Christian Walker can rake, man. He hits, like you said, 35 homers a year, 240, 250 average, and I think he's on the rise besides that.
Here's a fun Christian Walker stat for you. You remember the year, I think it was 2010, 2011, where Bryce Harper was on the cover of everything, the All-American high school player, the next Babe Ruth or whatever. Well, he did a home run derby at Tropicana Field, and it was like his first viral moment. He was hitting balls onto the catwalk 500 feet as a high school senior. Well, he came in second place in that home run derby and lost to Christian Walker, who then went on to South Carolina and won 2 College World Series for the Gamecocks. Christian Walker has been a gamer for a long time and is owed his flowers.
You know, if he doesn't, hopefully for Christian Walker's sake, if he doesn't go, if hopefully a team deals for him, the D-backs are going to continue to be in the cellar.
Yeah.
I really like him a lot. He is underrated. Can't say enough about him too.
We would have heard a lot more about him. So he I think he was drafted by the Orioles. I'm not sure what round. Climbed fast, was really, really good, got to AAA, but he played first base for the Orioles, who had just paid Chris Davis a whole lot of money, 200-300 million. And so they can't call up the young kid because I just paid somebody else $200 million.
Yeah.
So that's where he got out of the Baltimore system and into the D-back system. And he's been overlooked for a long, long time. And I think one of these years you're going to blink and he's going to, oh, who's this guy? Well, he's been doing it a long time. It's just people are starting to pay attention now.
Yeah. So that's a good dark horse pick. I'm going to go, my NL MVP dark horse is Willy Adames, shortstop from the Brewers. And I like Adames. He's hit 30 plus homers. I believe he hit 25 the year before, but hit 31 last year, and he can take off as well. That's a friendly hitter's ballpark. Adames is young. He comes from the Rays in that trade. And if Brewers can win division or at least win 90 games and they're like in the wild card, and I think he can put up 35, 40 homers. Average does have to improve a lot. But I like him, man. I like him as a dark horse. Not a guy that you would think. I kind of had Austin Riley in my mind, but I don't think that's considered really a dark horse. I think Riley is up near Matt Olson range. I mean, probably in between Adames and Olson, but Adames, man, I really like Willy Adames. Dude can flat out rake. You know, he's going to get RBI chances. He's in a decent lineup. He's around Rowdy Tellez, Christian Yelich, and those boys. So if Brewers make a ton of noise and Adames is hitting dingers, why not put him and get him in there? So is it likely? No, it's not. But Adames, hey, a guy you need to look after.
Definitely. I agree with that.
Yeah. Well, we'll go to our World Series predictions. Only got a couple minutes left. Who do you have in the World Series, man?
I got the Padres, so I don't have them winning the division, but I got them in the series. And I think that being in the NL, super competitive, being in the NL West, they are going to have those high pressure, great competition all year. And that is going to prepare them for a matchup with the New York Yankees. I don't know if they win it. I think the Yankees are incredibly talented. They are every year. Whether or not they can put it together, I don't know. I think they were missing a couple pieces. I think if they can stay healthy, they got a chance. Love Volpe,
Yeah.
young 21-year-old shortstop. I think he's got a chance to be special, especially with his legs. He could steal 30, 40 bags.
Yep.
Um, and he's the shortstop that the Yankees have been missing since Jeter left. Um, I mean, with Judge and all of those guys, I mean, they're offensively as talented as you could possibly be, especially in this era of the long ball. And then I think it's just a slugfest, and whoever scores 6, 7, 8 runs a game in the World Series, I think is going to win it.
Yeah, whoever's hot at the right time. It's a good point. I've got Braves versus Indians in the World Series. I have Atlanta Braves as winning the World Series again. My buddy's just gonna give me crap for it because Braves are a squad, but top to bottom, man, that pitching staff. I do think they need Braves need Mike Soroka back and maybe another arm. They've had some injuries with Soroka. Max Fried just went on the DL. I know this is kind of very early in the year, but their bullpen is so good. They do have Kirby Yates. They have a closer in Iglesias and Minter, like I touched on earlier. And that lineup 1 through 9, I can't say it enough. I like the Indians as well. Their bullpen pretty dang good. Starting pitching, Tristan McKenzie. You got all the Cal Quantrill, and they just signed Jimenez to an extension. I think it was Jimenez. But you got those guys, Naylor, who's pretty clutch. That lineup, man, Stephen Kwan at the top, they just have a good mix. I think they kind of surprise people. They get in, and they're a team that's just going to rally and they have a chemistry. Terry Francona, I think he'll be better. He did not pitch Shane Bieber last year in Game 5 on 3 days rest, which I'm still pissed about, or else they would have moved on, in my opinion. But this year, I think they really figure it out, and it's back to basics.